So how do stars explode? And why do they explode? A supernova happens when there is a change in the core, or the center of a star. A change can occur in two different ways, and both can result in a supernova. The first type of supernova occurs at the end of a star's lifetime. The star will run out of energy, and its mass will flow into its core. Eventually, this core will get so heavy that it actually cannot withstand its own gravitational force. This causes the core to collapse, and the result is a giant explosion of a supernova. Now, another type of supernova is a little bit more confusing. Now, this happens in binary star systems, and binary stars are two stars that orbit the same point. One of these stars is going to be a white dwarf, and it's actually going to steal matter from the companion star that it's orbiting with. Eventually, just like the other supernova, the white dwarf will accumulate too much matter. Having too much matter will cause the core to collapse and explode, resulting in a supernova. So, what we need to understand is why stars are exploding. And to understand that, we need to know how a star works. So, internally, a star is in balance between two opposite forces. The star's gravity will try to squeeze the star into the smallest, tightest ball possible. But the core creates a strong outward pressure, and the outward push resists the inward squeeze of gravity. But what happens when a massive star runs out of fuel is that it cools off. This causes a massive pressure drop. Gravity wins out, and the star will suddenly collapse. The result of a collapsing star is obviously a supernova. But why are supernovas important? Now, the reason they are so important is because they're responsible for creating new stars. They actually hold most of the material that has been created in the universe. The explosion sends out debris in a massive burst of energy that spreads out to all parts of the universe. It spreads the heavy metals, the materials, and the elements we find on Earth today, and is, like I said, responsible for the creation of new stars. Now, the information we can gather from an exploding star is actually very surprising. They're important to astronomers because the supernovas have a relatively fixed inherent luminosity, and this can determine cosmic distances. So when we see how far away these supernovas are, we can use them as frames of reference to find the distances to other objects. Now, with how fascinating supernovas actually are, how common are they? Now, unfortunately, they're not that common. And the astronomers believe that about only two or three supernovas actually occur in each century in our own galaxy. And because the universe contains so many galaxies, we only get to observe a few hundred supernovas per year outside our own galaxy. The reason for this is because space dust is actually blocking our view of most of the supernovas within the galaxy. Now, what's fascinating is how rare supernovas actually are, and how responsible they are for actually distributing the elements all throughout the galaxies. Star explosions are like the universe's factories. They generate the chemical elements needed to make everything in our universe. At their core, the stars are converting simple elements like hydrogen into heavier elements, and then those heavier elements, such as carbon and nitrogen, are elements needed for life, things that created us and sustained our galaxy and our Earth. Given how rare they actually are, it gives kind of perspective to how powerful they actually are when they explode. If two or three are only happening per century, and it shows the impact of how many materials and how many elements they're actually distributing through the galaxy by exploding. Now, when stars explode, they often leave behind a nebula or a giant cloud of gas. But sometimes they can leave behind something much bigger and much larger, which would be a black hole. Now, this is an entirely different topic, but you can see how intense these explosions can be and what they can leave behind and how it impacts the rest of the galaxy. After leaving here today, I hope you guys understand the power, the immensity, and the scale of star explosions. Star explosions are one of the most essential things in the universe and in the galaxy as we know it. They're responsible for distributing elements all throughout the galaxy and all throughout the universe, and they can leave behind some pretty amazing things. It's an interesting concept that stars need to explode in order to create other stars. It shows the cycle of the universe and how impressive it can really be. I hope you all learned something today, because after all, we are a product of star explosions, and they are the reason that most life exists.